Hello, my name's Andrew Clark. I'm a horn player with the Vancouver Island Symphony. I'm in Christchurch Cathedral today, and I'm delighted to have this opportunity to demonstrate a few of the techniques used in the new horn concerto composed by Stephen Chatman in 2016. I'll just get my horn out of its case now. Oh, what's going on here? My horn has been in isolation for a few weeks. It did actually go to the United States, so on its return I wasn't allowed to practice it, of course. But I think it's now time to give it a go for today's demonstration. All right, we're ready now for a few techniques from the concertino. So back in the spring of 2016, I went to Stephen Chatman's house so that I could discuss with him some of the horn techniques that he could use in his concerto. The first one of those, actually he ended up using for the first two notes of the concerto. They're two notes joined together with a glissando in between the two. So that sounds like this. It goes a little bit faster than that in the music, but I did it so that you could hear the glissando in its full glory there. There's another technique for glissandos which the player makes happen by moving the hand in the bell, and I'll show you some techniques there that I demonstrated to Stephen when I went to his house. You'll see my hand move in the bell in different ways here. So that's the glissando technique. He uses that in the third movement in a couple of spots, which is kind of fun. There's also a couple of other techniques which I'd like to tell you about. The interesting thing is that trills are possible on the horn in a couple of different ways. Strauss, in his two horn concertos, didn't use a trill once, so it kind of went out of fashion from the classical period, but Stephen Chatman decided that he would like to use some trills, and he extended them in a couple of places to make the interval a little bit wider, which is what we call a tremolo. Tremolo meaning trembling between one note and the next. So I'll show you the two different kinds of trill. You've got this sort where you move the valves. We hear that kind of thing quite often in Baroque music. And then we also get the lip trill type. So let me demonstrate some tremolos for you as well. It becomes a little more difficult to go fast between the notes as we get a wider interval. Then there is the differences of tone that we get on the horn. So I've been demonstrating everything on the open horn so far. In this concerto, there is quite a lot of muting in the second movement. So for that, I demonstrated to Stephen Chatman my new mute, which I made at home. And this is it. It has a brass section on the end like this, which I made out of a piece of tube. I shrunk down one side so that it was narrow enough to slot into this hole here, and I flared the other side so that it looks a little bit like a trumpet bell. And then this is a wooden hollow section here with a bit of cork around it, and that closes off the air around the bell so that the sound is forced to go through the center here, and then it gets amplified by this little trumpet bell on the end. So I stick that in the bell there, and that makes rather a different tone on the horn. So that mute is sometimes referred to as a stopping mute because it sounds rather like stopping on the horn. If I hand stop on the horn, it sounds like this. Two different tones with the bell closed off, and then we have the tone of the horn when it's open. So there are three varieties of tone that Stephen Chatman is utilising in this concerto. There's a lot of great energy in this piece, and I hope you'll enjoy listening to it.